in the nether. Creepers, ghouls. Levi was even there, just hanging out, while Aaron prepares his final strike. So I told him, what are you talking about? Are you trolling me? And he said, no, Dad. Seriously, I'm honest. It is the real thing. And so it hit me. Kids are pretty much very creative. Their imagination is actually borderless. So I tried reminiscing, and I also have my stick back in the day. Clicker ain't working. Okay. Yeah, I also know Steve, I told myself. Do you know this Steve? Have you ever watched All This Time? No, okay. So, please don't judge me with my age. I guess All This Time is quite old for you guys already. So, what I did after was like, okay, I tried to consult the expert advice of Mr. Google and started typing cute imagination. Then this photo popped out. What is it trying to say? In the normal daily life of a kid, it's actually made up of creativity. Their imagination is borderless. But I tried keying teen imagination, and this photo came up. And I'm actually trying to start thinking now that as we grow older, things that we actually think of becomes a little bit more serious. We start thinking about our future, what degree are you going to take up, where am I going to travel, and so on. Then I started searching for another image, adult imagination. This photo popped up. It actually talks about like, hey, priorities, career, and all of those stuff. But in reality, they're saying that, hey, you have to act your age. My wife often tells me that thing, those similar words. And I actually tell her, hey, I just turned 40. How do I know to act like a 40-year-old if I just turned 40? Okay, then you could find me like lying on the floor, knocked out. Right? Okay, now, play is actually not just for kids. It's most often related to children, but in reality, we shouldn't stop playing, right? It's very pivotal to adults as with kids as well. Okay? Play actually is what gives us joy. It gives us the impression to have fun once in a while. The photo that you're seeing right now is actually a photo taken from an office, and they're actually playing after a certain successful event. Most likely after the TEDx event, the organizers would definitely go out and play, or maybe celebrate. Right? Play actually fosters creativity. It actually gives out the critical and, of course, critical thinking that the student needs to create something. The photo that you're looking at right now are my students playing a board game. I actually let my students play in my games design and programming class. I guess it's the easiest way for them to create something out of the extraordinary. Because when you're having fun, you become more creative, you become more innovative, and that's it. Yeah. It fosters relationships. Find time to play with your kids sometime. It's quite fun. You got to learn a lot about them, and they learn a lot from you as well. Right? As the saying goes, right? It says here, play is the answer to anything. New that comes about. Don't be ashamed to play around once in a while, hang out with Vegeta if you like. Or, it doesn't actually mean using technology as always. You could play with a lot of different people. When I first reached Indonesia and stayed here, I'm already here for the past 7 years. And I'd like to broaden my, network, and at the same time earn friends and those stuff. So I tried visiting Ilora Concarno. There's a basketball court there. And I just join the group, played around with them, and then we essentially became friends. Remember when we were kids, right? We don't actually need to know that guy or that kid, but we could be able to play with them. That is the easiest way to earn friends. There's this guy, he's actually a pioneer in research about play. His name is Stuart Brown, and he actually compared play with oxygen. It's all around us, yet goes mostly unnoticed or unappreciated until it is missing. So what does it mean? Sometimes, perhaps, in our busy daily lives, we actually get stressed and all of those things. But there's always an exit to it. Why not try playing? It's worth it actually. So if we'd like to give a definition of play, it would be very hard to give a concrete definition. Because play is not a thing. It is a process. And within that process, we actually experience surprise, we actually experience happiness. Whilst we're playing, we actually we don't actually look at our environment. We're so immersed in it and so concentrated. Time passes so quickly, right? Okay, when I was in high school, it was so difficult for me to understand the periodic table of elements. Our teacher wanted us to memorize the atomic number, the sign, the symbol, and all of those stuff. He gave us a quiz. I got nil, 0. What made it worse was it like 0.0 with a decimal point. That was really crazy. But it's good that I was not the only one who got a 0. There were more people who got it. So the teacher actually became more creative. And he let us play this bingo. Bingo was quite cool. So we played bingo. But the things that are found in the bingo cards aren't the numbers that we used to have. But it actually contains the different elements and all of those things. So we actually learn about those elements by using games. So it was quite fun. Now, we now live in a technologically advanced world. This is the pervasive wave of computing. This is already the third wave. The first wave was we were using big computers with only one user, right? The second wave, we actually used smaller computers. And the third wave, computers are actually becoming or start to disappear. So we're actually using computers without us noticing it. Anyone here have a smartwatch? Anyone? Smartwatch? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'm not wearing one. But in reality, if you're going to look at the photo here, it's actually the Internet of Things. Play, the landscape of play is actually changing, right? We could be able to compete with other people just by using a certain application. Yep. Does this ring a bell? Does your mom want you to tell you, go out and play? Hey mom, we're gonna go out and play, and that's it. Okay? Yeah, in the world that we live in right now, as early as 3, 4, 5-year-old kids, they have their own gadgets. They play the entire day. My daughter, for one, actually plays Roblox and Minecraft. And then her creativity is boundless. Okay? As adults, you can play poker, using tablets. It's good fun. Immersion is actually the key as well. There are different ways on how we play nowadays, right? The latest one is what? Virtual reality. It's quite cool because you actually immerse yourself into the environment. Yep. Yeah, you could play with dolls if you want. I mean, there are smart dolls nowadays, right? You could be able to communicate with them, tells you what time it is or that thing. So, with those things that I've actually said, most likely we'd like to change how we think about play. Before I forget my final message, let me just bring this out. It says here, playing is something we associate with childhood, but in reality we should never stop. Our forms of play may evolve, but we will always need it to be healthier and happier. Research actually suggests that, hey, it indicates that if you play, our health, our happiness, our test scores, our creativity, adaptability, sex lives, everything actually improves. Okay? So remember, play is actually very vital in our lives. Maybe we should give ourselves permission to play. Maybe at least just 5 minutes a day for starters. Remember, when the going gets tough, the tough play. Thank you very much.